working?
You are working it.
Working. Okay, we're exhausted after that last guest, Mr. Strahle Nobody's. We're kind of doing the alternate video show number 2 on Tuesday night, December what? 3rd? 4th? What is it? 5th?
I think it's the 5th.
5th.
Yeah.
When the waves are good, you don't even know what day it is. I tell you what.
2.5 hours, I'm like, damn. When I got home, I wanted to go to bed.
How are the waves today, Neil?
Fabulous.
Fantastic, sir.
Yeah, we should ask Peter Mel.
He did do a Mavericks.
Yeah, waves are good. I just wanted to introduce our guest tonight,
Okay.
Shelli Strahle. Am I going to get that? Thank you.
Not even close.
You do butcher the English language.
Strahle, yeah.
It's Strahle?
Strahle.
I wouldn't even. I could have sat here for an hour and never would have guessed that.
How do you spell that?
Strahle.
Yeah, you got it. So I think the German version is something closer to Strahle.
Do you want to keep that on? Take that off. Did we do it before?
Yeah, we can take
Yeah.
There
That's
she
good.
is.
There she is. Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
Yeah, but the American version is Strahle.
The Strahle.
Yeah. It means ray of light in German.
Does it really?
It does.
Ray of light.
The first X-ray machine was built by a German, so it has the word Strahle in it.
Huh.
See? Research.
Long time Santa Cruz resident?
Family's been here a long time. I've been here about 9 years.
9 years. And where previously?
Near Sacramento.
Okay. Right on.
So
Close.
you were-
Still close.
You were an attorney. Correct?
Yeah.
An attorney, and you were specializing in what?
In wills and trusts. And I'm here to discuss the important question
Of?
will Sean be protected when he's eaten by a shark?
Oh, yeah. That's, So, are you giving us your answer right now? Is that what's going
He
on?
has a trust. He told us he has a trust.
Oh, perfect.
So is he protected?
Potentially.
Oh, there can be. Is there
It depends.
Is there a shark like sidebar where if you're getting by a great white shark, all trusts go out the window?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. But only great whites.
Yeah. I'm getting. She's getting hang of the show, DC.
She is. No, she's yeah.
She's bullshitting us.
I know.
We normally bullshit the guests.
We thought Sean was coming in hot. You have to do something that's really important. If I feel like in today's times more than ever.
Yes.
Or before the show, we were talking that you specialize in trusts, wills, anything to do with protecting assets in case somebody were to have an accident or pass away, right?
Correct.
And with that being said, I feel like in Santa Cruz now, with how much real estate is, you mentioned something about probate and how difficult that can be. How important is it compared today versus say like 10 or 20 years ago?
So, I mean, I think it's always been important, but with real property values, especially in this area, probate is the court process to transfer assets when you don't have a living trust or you don't have something set up in joint tenancy. And so probate is the process, and probate actually needs to prove the will in Latin. So when you have a will, it means...
There you go.
So when you have a will, you still have to go through probate. So people think, oh, I have a will, but that doesn't matter. That's just choosing where your property is going to go, but still through the probate process. So it's the court process to transfer assets. And so that process is very expensive. It starts at 4% of the gross estate. If you need a lawyer, it's another 4%. There are filing fees. Property taxes potentially are going to be reassessed at fair market value during the time the property is stuck in probate. So even if you're selling, there are issues with that. But it's a long process. It's a tedious process. It's a difficult process. It's hard to understand and get through on your own. So you usually need a lawyer. So when you have a living trust in place, and we're going to go over it a little more in detail, when it's properly funded and you've done everything right, it avoids probate.
Wow.
And to determine the probate fees, they base the fair market value of the property at death, and that's excluding mortgages. So
Wow.
in this area, it's a lot.
So the probate, if you had some properties, very expensive, right?
Yes,
And you by having a living trust, you can eliminate that?
completely.
And who is that? Is that money from probate going to a county, the city, state?
The filing fees are going to the county. the one set of fees is going to the person listed as executor, and then the other set of fees is going to the attorney, but the fees to the attorney are set by state law. So it doesn't really matter which attorney you go to, it's going to be the same fee.
Am I crazy to say that an estate could basically get this probate and trust that you do for practically free based on what they're going to pay if they don't have that?
So usually, if you know what you're doing, if you choose someone savvy that can handle it after you're gone, potentially you don't need an attorney. I usually recommend having an attorney at least for the basic stuff. Make sure you've satisfied your legal obligations. But especially if it's one child, it's so simple and there are minimal legal obligations and it's a simple process, and a lot of trust administrations are done in 2 to 6 months. Probates can take a year or longer.
In a perfect world, when you die, if you have one children, you're stoked.
Yeah.
And I've seen when people die, the families all turn into a bunch of assholes and want to steal from each other and go to court.
Yeah. Well, and the other huge thing about ending up in probate is even if you don't have a lot of assets, if you go on Medi-Cal over age 55 and your estate ends up in probate, so let's say you just had one house that you had, they're going to force a sale of that house upon your death for reimbursement to the state.
Wow.
So your child, even if it's just one child, will lose that house.
Wow.
So in addition to paying the lawyer or any other creditor, there may be potential Medi-Cal reimbursement.
She may be your best friend, TC.
Well, you know, it's
She's
it's something that I've been very interested in myself, and I think that we have so many young professionals in this county and who think they're bulletproof and are going to be here forever, who don't think that like they should be planning.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a need for that right now.
Right.
And business succession planning as well. So what happens with the business?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of businesses, and if I was to fall over, hopefully my wife doesn't fall over with me, because that would really suck probably for my kids to try to figure it out.
Well, and that's the other huge thing is minor children. So minor children can't inherit property.
Mm-hmm.
So if something, everybody kind of knows about, well, if something happens to me, I need to nominate a guardian, but what about the assets?
What happens to those assets?
So they would have to go through a process. It's a guardianship of the estate. It's expensive. It's long. The funds end up in a blocked account. And then, here's the best part. They get everything at 18, and they buy that Maserati, and they spend it all.
Oh, yeah, they just go to town.
Yeah, so with a trust, you designate an adult trustee to hold legal title for the beneficiaries, your children, and then you decide when the kids get that money outright.
Right, like we were talking about my friend. Who he's like 2 generations down the road before that money goes out to the
So
kids.
usually people, they'll say, age 25, age 30, they push it out a little further.
Just stay away from the coke dealer age. That's kind of the plan, I think.
What makes you get involved in this line? This line of attorneyship, as it were.
Yeah.
Because there's, obviously there's very different, so many different kinds of attorneys. What made you get interested in this avenue?
Well, so a little background. I announced when I was 12 years old that I wanted to be an attorney. So it was
12.
12.
Are you reminded about that? Like,
No, my parents, they just said, oh, well, we'll love you no matter what. We don't care what you do. And I was very decisive.
Did you even know what an attorney was at 12 years old?
Yeah, I think I must have met an attorney.
A TV show?
Something, yeah, something.
Right.
But I decided that's what I was doing.
Something like Seinfeld or something. Where Kramer became an attorney. Right? Or George became an attorney.
well, it's interesting because a lot of people, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a fireman. You actually did it.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so then it was just sort of through process of elimination of trying out different types of law. And Wills and Trusts is a bar prep course, and I loved it. My professor told me that not many people love that course, so then I just kind of got into it and then started in this area, and I love it.
So she's got questions for us.
I just want to let you know, we never are prepared.
So
I'm just really impressed.
Question number 1, she said to ask her, what is a living trust? And I think we can group it with number 2. Why should someone have a living trust instead of a will?
Yeah, so a living trust is a document that takes effect during life, and you choose someone to hold legal title of the assets for the beneficiaries. And usually when people are living, they are the trustees of their own trust, but then they choose a successor trustee to take over at death. Potentially a different successor trustee to take over during incapacity, because incapacity planning is a part of this as well, to avoid conservatorship. And maybe you even choose a different guardian. So all of those roles can be the same person or it can be a different person. That is in opposition to a will. A will takes effect at death. So when someone has a will, they don't actually have heirs until they die, because that's when the will has to be proven in probate court, and then you determine who is going to inherit. So, so why should you have a living trust instead of a will? We kind of talked about some of it. So it avoids probate. Probate is long, it's expensive. We'll talk about it in a little bit. During COVID, the courts shut down, so there was no way to transfer assets in the beginning of quarantine.
Why would somebody go down that road of probate? It sounds like, obviously, said expensive and long-winded. Why does somebody choose that avenue?
Probably to save costs. So a trust is a little more upfront, but you save your loved ones thousands and thousands of dollars, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You lose somebody, you're already grieving and having a terrible time to have to start worrying about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think a lot of people just don't know.
Right.
They don't know about probate.
No, I mean, we were kind of looking forward to the show because
we're curious about it.
Yeah, we don't have the knowledge. Well, I haven't had the knowledge of it.
Is there a question on there about how much this costs?
So it depends on the attorney that you go to, but so for me, I bill flat fee, and it's based on assets. So it's going to range between $2,500 and $3,500, depending on if someone is married or single, how many real properties they own, because for each real property, it's going to involve more. Do they have business interests that I need to deal with? So the type of planning that they want.
Interesting. So the more you have, it just costs a little bit more. What was the most expensive one you've ever done, you think?
The most expensive trust?
Yeah.
Probably under 4,000 still, or close to 4,000.
So anybody that's watching and is interested in this, the most may cost is $4,000, and 4% of a house.
Usually 8%.
If you get probate because there's a double whammy, potentially you could lose $100,000 going to probate.
Yeah.
For a $4,000 investment to get set up a trust.
Yeah. So it's basically a gift to your loved ones.
Wow.
It makes it simple. They save money. And then there are a lot of when you have a trust, you think about different types of taxes. So we incorporate estate tax planning. So right now under Trump, most people don't owe estate tax, but that may be coming back. So you have to have the trust structured in a way to minimize estate tax for the kids. California has no death tax, so it's just federal estate tax, which again, a lot of people still won't probably owe, even with the new limits. But then there are income tax consequences. So when you own property in joint tenancy, let's say you own it, and a lot of people still take property in joint tenancy with their spouse, and then it goes to the kids, you get what's called a frozen tax basis at the first death. And when you have a trust, we can make it where you get a double step up in tax basis. So you get the tax basis of the second spouse to die. So we structure in a way that is better for income taxes. And then there are property taxes. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Prop 19. That's going to be changing a lot of how. So right now I'm doing a lot of updates on trusts to determine if a certain property is going to a certain child. If they want to deal with gifting that now, if they're hoping it gets repealed when people realize what they voted for. So it's a lot of planning with that. So there's different tax planning involved as well.
Was 19, is that the one where you keep the tax on the property?
So the good part of 19 is that you can transfer your property tax basis if you're over age 55.
One time.
If you're a fire victim, if you're disabled, and what it did too is you can transfer it to different counties, whereas before there were only certain counties that were accepting that, or you could do it within your own county. But the bad side and how they explain that they're paying for the benefits of that proposition, and all it said on the face of the proposition was makes changes to family transfers. So I really don't think people understood what they were voting for. But now it's going to make it where you can only. So there was something. So everybody knows about Prop 13, and you get to keep the same property tax rate. Proposition 58 and Proposition 193 made it where Prop 58 was to pass from parents to children so that the children could keep this property tax rate for all different types of property, for principal residence, for income property, whatever it was.
Business?
If it was commercial, if it would, if it's real property,
Right.
no matter what it was, there were no limits. 193 was transferring from grandparent to grandchild if parent was deceased. Prop 19 gets rid of that completely and now has a new structure where it has to be the principal residence of the deceased, and the person who is inheriting has to make it their principal residence within 1 year of the person dying to keep the same property tax rate, and it's capped. So there's a formula where they take the current assessed value and then add that to $1 million, and they do a formula to figure out, are they gonna reassess a portion of it?
Yeah.
So even with that, you don't get the full.
I couldn't even imagine, some of these beachfront properties that were bought for $200,000 and now they're $5 million, and that person passes away. It's $50,000 a year in property tax.
Yeah.
But to keep that Prop 13 base, that's what they're saying, right? Is that you can keep that appraisal from Prop 13. A child that works at Home Depot might be able to live there for a while instead of having to sell it immediately.
Right.
It seems to me.
So it's going to have a huge impact. And,
Wow.
And so that's why, we kind of hope in the attorney world that it gets repealed, just because it's going to have significant consequences.
Trusts and wills work together?
They do. So actually, when you have a living trust, you have a pour-over will, and the pour-over will does kind of what it sounds. It pours assets into the trust. So attorneys, nowadays, what we use is the trust schedule, the trust, the pour-over will, and what's called a general assignment. And so if there's any asset that is large that didn't get properly placed in trust, maybe an account that the person didn't realize they didn't put in trust, or maybe they did everything right and then the title company comes back and says that there's something wrong in the legal description, so it wasn't an effective transfer to trust. If there's any issue where something is not in the trust when it's supposed, because trusts are supposed to be funded, so you have to have everything in the name of the trust. When you have those documents, you can avoid probate anyway. So an attorney can go down and get what's called a Hegstad petition. And that's actually part of the problem with doing the online or low-cost services, is first of all, the online services are helping you draft your own trust. It's not actually an attorney drafting the trust and personalizing it for you. You're drafting your own trust through using that software. So in addition to potentially making errors or omissions or being overly specific, the trust might not be properly funded. And then a lot of those services don't create a situation having those documents that you need for the court petition for an attorney to then get everything in trust.
$4,000 is not a lot. Not a great
Well, that's
deal,
on the expensive end.
right?
Yeah, that's
It's
the
not a
high
lot,
end.
right?
Right.
I mean, from what she just said in the last 15 minutes, who knows that information?
Not me.
Percentage of the population. Percentage of the population that knows.
Yeah,
that
no, it's
information.
insane.
It's minor, right?
Yeah, and so
you
it's
can help people, make it through the maze and get to the middle, as it were, or right? I mean,
well, and even with Prop 19, people are calling in, and we have to make this decision: do we transfer something now? Because and the thing about Prop 19 planning is you have to know the intention of the children too, because if the children are going to sell and you transfer that property, you just lost the step up in tax basis. So it can hurt you for income taxes. So you have to figure out, are they going to keep it forever? Are you hoping the law gets repealed? Or maybe you have two houses and you want one particular house to go to one child, whereas before everything was getting split equally.
right.
Because now there's going to be the issue of who is going to claim it as the principal residence post-death. So
Right.
that can create its own issue in itself.
Can you do? And this is. Can you eliminate spouses of heirs?
Yeah, so inheritances are separate property as long as you keep it from being commingled. So a lot of times when parents don't like the spouse of a child, they give it in trust to that child so that that spouse can't get to it.
right.
So if you don't give it outright to the child, then they can't commingle it.
Got it.
So but if that if that person understands not to commingle it, then that's okay. But the second it gets commingled, then it's
Right.
potentially subject to divorce.
Do you have, in discussing this, do you have to have a great deal of wealth in order to take on your services, or for somebody that is, is just getting by or whatever and wants to protect themselves? Do you have to have significant assets in order to need a trust?
No, so actually, sometimes those are the people that need it the most. I have a lot of clients who are living off of Social Security, and all they have is their home. Well, that home, and especially if they have no assets, they're probably going to end up on Medi-Cal, and so that protects it from Medi-Cal reimbursement. That protects it from probate, and so even if you just have a lot of people call, they say, I don't have much, I just have a home. A home is a lot in terms of trust planning. So,
especially in this town, like we said.
yeah. Or I have clients that don't have a home. They don't even have much, but they either have a huge life insurance policy or they have a large retirement plan and minor children. Well, those policies aren't going to pay out to minors unless you have a trust. So you get an immediate payout of those to the adult trustee.
Wow, that's cool. So Neil, you might need a trust for your paddleboard.
And the shark bracelet.
Yeah, and the shark bracelet.
Should I get one of the shark bracelets, TC?
You can put it on your paddle.
I just no. I just don't think I can get one. I can't believe Sean showed up here today. That took, for him to show up, it took chutzpah. Because we did trash that poor guy. And I expect a voicemail on my phone here offers like, I'm done with you guys.
I thought I heard your phone beep already,
Yeah,
by the way.
very much. This is your question. Do I need a trust if I have one child or if I don't have any children?
Yeah, so
Sounds like children's a big key here.
Yeah, so I actually have a lot of clients who have no children, and it pretty much comes down to, do you want the ones that you care about to go through a tedious, expensive process? So it doesn't necessarily have to do with children. It may be a significant other that you're not married to. It may be a friend, a distant relative.
Right.
So maybe you just don't want them to have that headache and that cost.
Okay.
So
I got two questions, TC. Can I just?
Absolutely.
Okay, one. You went to Sorbonne, right?
I did.
Right. And what did you study there?
I studied, well, that time I studied I did a law school abroad program.
You did?
So it was through Tulane
Yeah,
University.
that's a very high powered school.
It is.
Right? University, as it were. But
And is this in France?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Je parle français.
Whoa. So you speak French?
I do.
All
My French is rusty. I used to work on a French cruise ship.
You're the entertainment, right?
I did the bingo. I was a crew member. I did the bingo. And what else did I do?
I bet those silver foxes were all over you, huh?
Yes. Let's not go there. TC.
Let's come on. Let's get the camera over here.
We're all going there.
The cruise ships. Give me a couple of good stories there, buddy. Are you on a cruise ship? Oh, man.
The best French Chinese cruise ship, though.
Yeah.
Had the best. I've never had it to this day. French onion soup.
Nice.
Delicious. Anyway.
So more importantly,
Yes.
for the people that are interested in the boardroom, another time that I lived in France, I lived in the Alps.
Ooh.
That was
Oh.
amazing.
Wow,
So
that's
that
awesome.
was
Where'd you live?
phenomenal.
Where did you live there? Where?
In Grenoble.
In Grenoble?
Grenoble, yeah.
Nice. Did some skiing?
Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Those mountains are beautiful.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I've traveled through there just to look up, and there's like this castle ruins on a mountaintop, and it's just
Beautiful.
you never see that here in America.
Well, and what's so interesting there too is, the mountains here, you're driving and you're driving and you're driving.
Yeah, it goes like that and it goes like that.
Yeah, and eventually, I'm at what elevation?
I see snow.
There, it's your sea level,
And
and then
then
you're at the top.
Right.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Did you ski there?
I snowboarded.
You snowboarded, of course.
Yeah, girl.
I always said that Europeans are so good at snow sports because they got to ski uphill too on those T-bars and pommel horses and all that weird shit they got.
That's what I started.
Yeah, they have calves the size of an elephant because they got to ski uphill. We sit in our chairlift and smoke weed and drink beers. Americans, right?
TC some old skaters, some old snowboards.
Yeah, we have a little snowboard collection up there on the roof that you can see. Yeah, there's a couple of beauties up there.
So I made national news that I was one of the first snowboarders to be allowed into Aspen.
Wow. We're getting the good stuff now, Neil. Let me tell you.
You know what? You better put her on the wall.
I know, Aspen. So now, were you living in Aspen?
No, I just did.
You just happened to show
I
up?
went to UC Davis, and we did a trip to Aspen through the college, and we just happened to be one of the first round of boarders they let in. They were
Wow.
one of the last places
Oh,
to let
snobs.
boarders in.
Yeah, no, they're like, ugh. And you know the funny thing now? The old guys are snowboarders now, and the young kids are skiing.
Yeah.
Right.
You know? And who would have thought that, you know, it's just totally
It's
changed.
like me paddleboarding. All the people that used to yell at me,
Yeah.
all of them.
Right. Now they're all doing it.
Now they're all doing it.
Yeah, well, you know, like Carps snowboard now. You're like, what the heck?
I got a question about your business. I saw on your website, going through your website, I saw pets.
Yes.
What's the deal with pets and in regards to what you do?
So in
I'm like, what?
California,
Yeah.
pet trusts are valid.
Pet
so
trust?
in certain states,
Because you have
they're
cats, TC.
honorary.
Lana would have those cats in your trust in a second. Before you.
Well, I mean, that's...
Didn't interrupt you.
But it
It's
is.
inherited.
Yeah, but that's really common. Like Hollywood stars will leave their stuff to their pets.
Yeah, so I do some dog and cat trusts, but I'd say the majority is equine. So
Horses.
Equine, yeah.
Oh,
They've
yeah.
been a long time.
Right. And
So-
and people love their horses.
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
but they're valid in California. So what you do is you choose a human trustee in charge of the finances.
Mhm.
You choose a human guardian that's going to be in charge of the pet, and then you have a remainder beneficiary. That,
Okay.
If the pet dies, it actually goes to a human.
gotcha.
There, TC.
Okay, gotcha. We're good.
Okay. Can you repeat that again? I was busy there doing that. Can you repeat
sorry.
that again?
Yeah. So with a pet trust, you have someone in charge of the finances for the animals.
Right.
It's the trustee.
Right.
It's a person.
Yeah.
You have the guardian of the animal, so just almost like a child, you have the guardian. And then you have a remainder beneficiary, so it's a human that gets the money if the animal passes
Okay.
away.
And do you do a secondary trustee in case something happens to the trustee?
It can be as many, I mean, it doesn't just have to be one, there can be multiples,
Mhm.
but yeah, at least one alternate. And then that's for any trust that I
Okay,
create, not
yeah.
just pet trust.
You want to have people just in case.
Yeah, and then some people choose co-trustees. So maybe they just have two kids and they get along, then you can do co-trustees too.
Mhm.
It doesn't just have to be one or the other.
Why do people not get along when people pass away? It's really a weird thing.
Money.
Yeah, it's money, but I think it brings up a lot of stuff that maybe they weren't talking about during life that comes out. I've seen, and people fight over, it's not always just money, it's people fighting over couches. And so
Oh.
that's another thing too, is I have a personal property memorandum where if you have really valuable personal property items, you can list those out on who gets those, and you don't have to always go to the attorney to update
Right.
that. So
I had my father passed away, and my family fought over a salad bowl.
yeah.
They did?
Yeah,
Oh my.
yeah, because we had the same salad bowl all our life, and everybody was like, "I want the salad bowl." It was weird, you know. So do we get that specific in estate planning?
So you do if you know that the salad bowl is going to be a fight. So, but it's not something where you have to tell the attorney that. So
Right.
you get the memorandum. So for things, so personal property items, and that includes vehicles and pets, unless you have a separate pet trust, and you get to write who gets that particular thing.
Gotcha.
Or you just choose, anything not listed, who gets the rest, and it
Right.
gets split up.
Because I think honestly, my dad would be like, "They want the salad bowl,"
Right.
you know, like he wasn't even thinking about that salad bowl.
No.
Pretty funny.
Yeah, but I think it's associated with the memories, and then it's just
For sure, it sat in front of me. I have 6 kids in my family. It sat in front of us for our entire childhoods, on the table, the same salad bowl every
But
night.
there's money too. So trust litigation. I'm not a litigator, but that is a big money maker for lawyers because I feel like when people enter into trust litigation, they are willing to spend every cent to prove that they are right in those situations.
Mhm. Right.
So it's kind of a sad.
Is that, so
thing.
you don't get involved with the court system?
No, I don't
to-
do. Well, I get involved with the court system for simple probates and for Hagstad petitions to avoid probate. But I don't do anything where anyone's fighting, so I refer that
Right.
out.
Have you been following Prince's, the musician formerly known as Prince, his will, estate,
really,
probate
not
thing?
lately.
It's been really interesting. I've read a story in the paper that they undervalued his estate. Because who knows what music's worth, you know, and like that stuff. So, but you might want to look into it. It's a pretty interesting story about the musician formerly known as Prince.
I know that a lot of famous people don't have a trust, and that it ends up being a total nightmare.
Right.
And they don't plan for estate taxes, because if you do trust planning, you can plan for estate taxes, and none of that gets planned. And
So maybe there's people who say, you know what, screw my heirs. I'm going to torture them. I'm going to make their life miserable. I'm not going to have anything. They're going to go to probate hell.
yeah, some people do that, but you know, it's not the problem with saying screw my heirs is who are your heirs? So you don't really know who is going to inherit under the laws of intestate succession, and that's when you don't have a will and you don't have a trust. You inherit. That person's going to inherit according to the laws of intestate succession. So they're going to look. Do you have a spouse? Do you have children? Are your parents alive? Do you have siblings? Do your siblings have children? And they're going to keep going outward until they find. So let's say you had a total falling out with your parents, and you had a significant other that you weren't married to, and you didn't do any type of planning. You're disinheriting your partner, and it's going to that parent that you don't even speak to. So you have to be careful with not doing any planning.
Dying's a nightmare.
It's not easy, buddy. You're right? Jeez. We better start planning.
You're just dead. You put it in the box,
No.
See you later. You're gonna paddle out, right? Paddle out.
Wow. That's not that easy.
No, right?
Well, I mean, here's why. Something has to happen to your paddleboard,
Yeah.
you know?
And your shark bracelet.
And the shark bracelet. Yeah, I mean, something's going to happen to it. And are you busy these days? Is this a more popular thing than ever?
Yeah, I have been busy. I feel like I have never had so many young clients. And when I did have young clients before, it was something that they knew they needed to hire me, and then 6 months goes by and they get back to me again. Now I feel like younger people are more motivated.
Right.
So I have a lot more clients in their 30s and 40s than I used to. But yeah, I think it just in general, this has kind of scared everybody, and I think everybody's feeling a little more mortal these days.
Do you think being part of the Opulent Radio Show is an asset to your business?
Absolutely.
What, see that, TC?
I love it.
Speaking of our business, TC, let me
Yes.
whip this little number out right here.
What do you got?
This morning at 5 o'clock, I'm getting with it. I'm adding it up.
What's
So
what's all that?
COVID
Can I see,
began-
what is all that note saying?
This is the people who have viewed. These are the
Those
people
are
who-
all okay.
This is the views of our Facebook Live concerts. So our first live concert.
Well,
was
this
on
is
the roof.
just music.
Just music.
Okay.
Only. Our first live concert was on the roof with Locomotive Breath.
Yep, that was
Right.
right when we got shut down.
Right when we got shut down.
Yep.
So, up until the last concert, which was the Joint Chiefs, who killed it the other
Wow,
day.
man.
They
Dawn is so
killed
amazing.
it.
If you ever get a chance to see the Joint Chiefs,
Yeah.
oh, you have? Yeah, they're
We're gonna drag it
great.
down, we're gonna
Yeah.
drag it down. So we've had
I know his significant other too.
All right.
79 shows,
79 shows.
79 live concerts, but we haven't got arrested. Only once did we get in a little bit
So,
of trouble.
and just this is was what 9.5 months.
I don't know how it was.
Yeah,
Like
so
9.5 months.
yeah,
So,
79 shows.
79 live concerts.
Wow.
And just under 500,000 people watched them.
500,000 people watch those concerts.
Yeah.
Wow. Think about that.
I know.
We might have made some people a little happier
Make some
during
people
these
happy.
sad
Especially,
times.
I noticed the other day, a lot of people commented on how happy they were that they could just get out there, dance, and everyone was social distances. You were there.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I'm sure there's two sets of people that are saying, "Why are you having music during this?"
Why? Because
Life isn't worth living with.
well, that's just. I mean,
I think that COVID has taken away so much taken away people's lives, people's income. You have a business. You know what's changed your business and changed so many people's lives, but it can't take away your music. It just can't take it away. It's, people, all the music we've had, TC, whether it be opera or punk. So every show we've had, you and I have never had a show and go, oh, this guy sucks.
no, we have a lot of great musicians in this town.
Never.
And and just so listeners know, we've been very responsible for our shows.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as very few of them had people
Yeah.
there.
And they stopped by. The cop came, stopped the other day, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Rolled down his window, and he looked at me and he goes, "Good job, son. Good job. Well done.
Wow.
This is what we need." He wound his window up and drove off. I'm like, yeah.
79 shows since the pandemic.
79 live concerts.
We've seen some great music, huh?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
we've
I always laugh.
Hardcore.
We have these bands, right? And it's just us. It's just
Right.
Neil and I, and the bands that are
and
fantastic.
we'll get a bottle of wine. Him and I would
Yeah,
get schmacked.
it was-
You and I would get schmacked.
Have a glass of wine, watch amazing live music.
I feel a little cheated. Where's
Well, now you're a sponsor of the show. You're gonna get an invite. We don't invite anybody down here. We keep it pretty safe.
We keep it very safe. That's what I want the listeners to know is that we
Yeah.
do go out of our way to make sure there's only the band and Neil and I here.
All right.
If somebody is watching this right now and says, "Man, I really got to get on that," and one, I want you to tell the people how they can be contacting you.
Okay.
Two, how long would the process take to start, and then how long does it take to finish in a normal situation?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
Is it a big process for somebody? People are like, oh my god, you have to go through my papers at home, and this is gonna be a nightmare. Shit's in the attic.
So,
is it a fairly easy
To
process?
start, I need to have a general idea of the assets, but
Yeah.
to finish, I'll need more details.
Okay.
Like taxes and stuff
No,
too?
no.
Okay.
I just need to know. So the big breakdown is, what bank accounts, what institutions. Do you have retirement accounts, life insurance, real property? Does anyone owe you money? Do you have business interests? And so to begin, I just need to have a general idea, and you
Right.
can estimate the values. I don't need exact
Right.
values
Right.
to get started.
Mhm.
And then, but to finish, I'll need actual account numbers to put on the schedule.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And people to get a hold of you, how?
To get a hold of me, so right now, I am moving from Soquel to Capitola.
All right.
And today I was getting the flooring put in.
Awesome.
So
Where in
I'd say,
Capitola?
just a little bit up from Gales. So
Perfect.
I'm going to be broke from here on out, and probably fat. But
Gales is great.
Yeah. Stay out of there.
Yeah, lots of butter in that
There she goes
place.
again. She's walking in there again.
Yeah, you should see the 18-wheelers of butter. That's just truckloads of butter and go to Gales.
So I'd say the fastest way to probably get a hold of me right now is by email. It's Shelli, Shelli, at santacruzestateplanning.com. And then you can reach me by phone. It's 831-621-2165.
And we'll put that up there on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Perfect.
yeah.
And then this is a client-driven process. So I have some clients that come in and they are going to Mexico in a week and they're afraid of COVID, or they are dying, or they are just wanting to get this done quickly. I mean, for whatever reason, it can be done quickly. I'd say usually it takes about a month, but I have some clients that it takes significantly longer, but it's a client-driven process.
Right.
And then the whole process can be done virtually until signing day.
Okay.
Got
And
it.
so, and we wear masks, and we
And
each have our own separate.
could that be a
pins.
DocuSign, or is that
It can't. Not
Okay.
Not in California.
has to be ink on the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
So in some states they allow remote notarization. Here they don't. So
Got it.
yeah. And because you're dealing with something that this document's going to matter when that person's not around, so DocuSign isn't sufficient.
Right, it's got to be the exact ink.
Yeah.
Very interesting. It's something that I think more people need to think about, like what you were saying, is people don't often plan on that. And do you have one, Neil? Do you have a trust?
I have a trust, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's in the attic somewhere, but I've had it for a long time since Quinn was born.
And do you go back and update stuff as you
Yeah.
get more assets and
So
things?
I recommend updating every 5 years,
Uh-oh.
or at least checking in.
Mhm.
So if you're married, especially if you're married, the tax laws change. But even if you're not married, certain things change. For example, power of attorney. A lot of times people used to just do the short form statutory. Banks aren't a big fan of that, and if you don't have a power, or some power of attorney documents don't list out specific powers specifically enough for an institution. So I had a situation where a wife couldn't get even anything for taxes for her husband when he lost capacity for the retirement plan. So you always want to make sure that you have an up-to-date power of attorney, that your trust is up-to-date. A lot of people set up trusts when their children are younger. They get older and it doesn't make sense, the trustees that they've chosen, because either the child could do that or that person's not around anymore and you want someone else to handle it. And then healthcare directives, you want to make sure you have an updated healthcare directive. And actually, anyone over age 18 should have a healthcare directive. When kids are in college,
What's the health? I don't know what that is.
a healthcare directive is where you choose the person that's going to make healthcare decisions for you if you can't.
Advocate.
And it gives that person authorization.
Okay.
And so, if someone is away at school, if they had that healthcare directive, it can be really important to make everything happen faster.
Oh,
Well, you know, I learned a lot from my father's passing because my mom wasn't involved in the financials, and my dad didn't prepare her at all. Like, she didn't even have a checkbook or know any banking, and it was so hard for her to get those accounts. It was really a difficult situation to clean up, and they had a trust.
Yeah.
But it was really difficult for her to get back in and clean some things up. So that's why I think. And do you send out reminders on that? Hey, 5-year reminder. Chop
yeah,
chop.
Yeah. Well, and so I actually offer a complimentary client maintenance program. So the clients can contact me as often as once a year. Most people do it every 3 to 4 years, but I'm available if you want to, just to review. It's sort of like an ongoing complimentary consultation, just to review that everything looks good. If you want to make changes, then it's going to cost money for my hourly rate.
Sure, but like
to
this
check
example is
in.
like, hey, we have a boat now,
Yeah.
and so we got to lump this thing in.
But so anything with cars, for example, through DMV, they're pretty easy to transfer. So, and if you're adding assets, you don't have to come to me. So as long as you're making sure that it's properly titled. So, and you always want to update your trust schedule to reflect that you're adding new assets. But a lot of people, they can buy real estate in the name of the trust, or if for some reason they can't because of the mortgage company, they can come to me and get it transferred. The other thing too is if you buy out of state property, when you have a trust, it still just requires one trust administration. If you have a will, you're going to have a probate in every state where you own real property.
Oh, great.
TC.
Dying's gonna suck for me.
So it's not even just one probate and the associated fees; it'll be multiple probates.
Wow. So there is a way though to have because I have a home out of state. There is a way to get that put on.
Yeah, you can put that in the trust. You
Wow.
just have to get an attorney licensed in that state to transfer it. But I'm a wealth council member, and it's national, and they provide my drafting software, and I can go onto a listserv and say, hey, I have a client that owns property in this tiny county in whatever state, and
Wow.
and then they'll offer to draft it.
Well, it sounds to me like you could make this process pretty easy.
Yeah. She doesn't-
You know what I mean? Like it's, and again, I have a bunch of teenagers who work for me, and they always joke that, you know, their parents aren't successful, but they own a house. So I hear them, I'm a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire just because of that house. People need to have trust. I mean, from what you say, the probate, the tax, the 4% attorney fee, the 4% probate.
Right.
I mean, just right off the bat, for $1 million house in this town, there's 80 grand.
Yeah. Yeah. And if the property is going to be reassessed, that time, even if you're selling it, that time it's stuck in probate,
Property tax.
you're going to get stuck with the bill for property taxes.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you have a trust, if you can move quickly, 2 to 4 months, then that sale can happen quickly.
Because
The
we're
other-
adding another $10,000 to that
Yeah.
$80,000 now.
Well, and the other thing too is when you have a trust, you can shop around for the appraisal and get an appraisal that works in your favor. When you end up in probate, the probate referee is the appraiser, and you don't get to shop around at all. That's the appraisal.
Just the word probate is scary.
Yeah, I know. It's like sounds like prison, you know?
It does. It just-
Right.
They just make it sound like this is not going to be
You don't
fun.
want to die, TC.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I mean, that probate should be called Disneyland or something.
Right.
Jeez.
So I'm officially announcing her today
Okay.
as the Off-Limit Radio Show attorney.
Okay. All right. I like that. We have our own attorney now.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we need one after Sean Rovi just left. Jeez. He's probably calling his attorney right now.
Oh my God. Yeah, would you become our attorney?
Yeah.
No.
Anytime you have shark issues.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just remember, for a fee.
So a Strahle.
Strahle.
We're gonna botch that up.
Yeah.
Who was the guest last night? Shelli
Strahle.
Strahle. Shelli Strahle, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I got
Well-
educated, TC.
Not only thank you for coming on the show, but thank you for sponsoring our
Yeah,
show.
thanks for being
You
on
know, meeting you is awesome. I think that you do such an important service that gets overlooked, and then people get really messed up for not doing it.
Yeah, and actually, if any of your listeners just have questions, they can contact me as well.
Let's contact information again, please. Shelli
It's Shelli, Shelli, at santacruzestateplanning.com, 831-621-2165.
Cool.
That's
Thanks
awesome.
so much.
Yeah, thank you, Shelli. That's great.
Saturday show. This band, TC, they've been rehearsing all week. For 2 weeks, they've been rehearsing.
Saturday show?
Saturday show, Neon City Limits. They're pretty good. They're really good.
And what kind of music is this?
Rock and roll, R&B.
Rock and roll.
It's going to be outside down the street here on Saturday. And he wanted to play again, so I got him another gig. Jake Nielsen, Triple Threat.
Awesome.
At Chill Out Cafe.
Where they roll the fatties.
And he supplies all the pizza and a big ball of
tequila. You like those. We usually wheel you out in a wheelbarrow. We call it a Neil barrel.
So you're coming on, you can come to any. I'm going to invite you to one of the concerts.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Come on down. And then I have another 10 live music shows lined up.
Man,
10.
we just keep pumping out the tunes.
I get people calling from Houston, Texas the other day.
The band?
Everywhere.
Wow.
Bands want to come play.
Real quick, I think you should give a shout out to our sponsors.
Give me a minute.
Okay, fire up the laptop.
Fire up the laptop.
Because we had two on the show tonight. It was kind of like the sponsor night. Big night.
It was a big night.
Yeah.
A new sponsor. I'm like, she's not going to want to sponsor this show. It's ridiculous. All right. Well, first of all,
yes.
When I'm waiting for the old banger MacBook Pro to here it is right here. Let's start off with in real estate. She wrote this. If real estate with radio waves, Quick and Starbuck is the station that plays music tuned to your lifestyle needs. Contact them today so we can make a playlist that will rock you through your next real estate journey. Call Laura Quick Realtor and Keller Williams Santa Cruz at 706-1999. Follow them at Facebook at Quick and Starbuck Realtors. She is a character. Love her. She's great. Surf City Sandwich.
Fig.
Everyone knows what Surf City Sandwich is. I had the I had one there yesterday, TC. I had the
meatball.
No, I had the rye.
You love the meatball. How did you not get that?
I looked at the meatball, and I went for the what do you call it? Beef with the rye bread.
Oh, roast beef.
No, it wasn't roast beef. It looks.
But on rye, is that an English thing? Is rye bread English?
So good. Merch for socks.
Oh, in fact, I'll put mine on. I pulled out today a brand new pair of J socks today.
Oh,
yeah, brand new ones.
Brand new. Look at that.
Brand new ones. Yep.
Chill Out Cafe. Do we mention Chill Out Cafe?
They roll the fatties.
They roll the fatties. Beach Nest Vacation Rentals. Thank you for Beach Nest. They've been sponsoring the show since day one, 7.5 years. Beachnest.com. If you want to come to Santa Cruz, when the time is right, rent your home from beachnest.com. Pizza 1.5 sauce.
Do you really get a pie and eat it by the time you get home?
I'm not going there. I go, Mike. Mike sees me as surfing. He goes, Neil, you haven't been to my pizza place for like a month. I go, you know why? Because I gained like 12 pounds.
It's good stuff, huh?
It's really good. Jamie, Pizza 1.5 sauce next to Ben Wells. Jamie Janice from Santa Cruz Corner Rehab. You can get a massage there right now, even though we're locked down, because it's rehab. It's cool. You can get a massage there, and if you go see Gabby, I'm not going to give you her phone number, because you're going to book her appointment with her, and then she's going to get booked. I don't want anybody to go touch Gabby. Unbelievable.
Doesn't Gabby touch you?
She touches me. SantaCruzCore.com. I love Long Island Grill. Thanks, Numa.
Woo. Is this band playing? Feather Snake? Are they still rocking out?
This band sucks.
They're done? Feather Snake broke up?
Go, no, dude. You just stink.
Feather Snake? Just the name.
Okay, let me ask you a question. A friend of ours who owns a Long Island Grill. What is this name? What did come to you? You're a very intelligent woman. You've been well educated at the Saban. And my friend's band is called Feather Snake.
Feather Snake?
Yeah. Does that sound like a porno movie? This is what she got posted, by the way.
Yes. I'm sorry. I can't take him anywhere.
No, it's gonna be nice to you. What do you think? Feather Snake.
Is it like a metal band?
It's thrash rock.
Yeah, thrash rock.
You know, I see him coming out on stage in suspenders with a feather boa. And that's my Feather Snake thing. Yeah.
Fishing with boaters, the Wave Clock is your nautical station for waves and tides showing you real-time ocean conditions on sale at thewaveclock.com.
Do you have a wave clock?
I have two.
Well, because you live on the beach.
I live on the beach.
And do you look at your wave clock and look at the ocean and it's dead on?
Dead on.
Dead on, okay.
Rogue pies. Thank you, Ed. I gotta
Ooh,
get
those
you
are
some
good.
pie.
I've had those before.
Bingo.
Really good.
I haven't. I've never had a rogue pie.
You haven't?
Really? Yeah. Well,
Heavy
we'll see.
crabbies, man. Heavy crabbies for you.
I was supposed to trade him crab for a rogue pie.
Yeah, they had the truck up in Scotts Valley.
Good, huh?
Yeah.
Rogue pie? Oh my god, it's so good. We mentioned Sean Rogue, but he's got enough. Plenty of
A lot of airplay tonight.
People's Coffee's back, TC.
Really, Kurt?
17th in Bromer.
Oh man.
Rocket Fuel Coffee, along with Daily Grind Coffee and Bottle Shop in Capitola. He's good too.
Yeah.
So two great coffee shops right there. Daily Grind Coffee and Bottle Shop, which you'll be visiting.
Well, and Josh.
Staying out of Gales.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to be 400 pounds, young lady.
And plus, Josh from the Daily Grind is a musician, and 3 Up Front played here on the show.
We're going to get him back.
Those guys were great.
rocked it.
Yeah, they were great.
And last but not least, a beautiful brand new store, incredible art and gifts at Rootstock Collective. There's a few feet from the boardroom. Go to Rootstock Collective on Facebook. You know, she sold out of everything
I bet.
before Christmas. She's killed
She has
it.
some nice stuff in there.
So I'm stoked for her.
Is Shelli on that list?
Yeah,
Yeah, what the heck?
she's right here on this.
Okay, all
At least I
right.
got a name spelled. I can't pronounce the name. Strahle.
Not even close.
Strahle.
He butchers
Oh,
everybody's name. It's
Strahle.
okay.
Strahle Legacy Planning.
Strahle.
Her number is 621-2165. Or go to Santa Cruz Estate. Excuse me, Shelli at.
Well, yeah, no, the website is santacruzestateplanning.com.
Yeah, just go to that. SantaCruzEstatePlanning.com. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
very enlightening show. What I want to just say before we end the show, Shelli, is that I learned a lot on like how long this takes,
Yeah.
how much it costs, why is it important, what it will save you down the road, and the importance of this planning so that your family doesn't have to go through all this turmoil during a terrible time.
And I think also what's important, you think of living trust or trust, your dad having one or your mom having one. It's not for all people. It's
Right.
It's for the younger generation to get involved, and you know this could benefit them for years and years to come, right?
Yeah.
So if you young lads out there, young ladies out there, give her a call. Check her out. She's great. We love her. She's part of the show, and we're stoked.
Well, it seems so. It seems like it could be such a daunting task if you're not educated like you are. Like I wouldn't even know where to start.
No.
You know, I would need a coach to make this work.
Imagine going online. You'd be like, oh my god.
Well, I want to hand you the paper and a check and
Right.
then get it done.
And actually, my goal is to make this process easy for you, and I try to make it a fun process. I mean, it's kind of a rough thing to talk about death, so let's make it fun.
Right. That's awesome. Well, everybody who listened tonight, hopefully you do have a trust. If not, maybe you should start to think about it. Call Shelli. You'll take care of him, right?
I will.
Again, thanks for coming.